Yes.
some wisecrack about how it was in your head, and I said at least something was or something like that. I forget what I said exactly, but I made a wisecrack. Basically, I said you were dumb.
And we're live for episode 12 of My Hero Academia. Episode, let me look at this. Episode 79. Win those kids' win those kids' hearts. This is a fun episode, and this is a really fun episode. We get a little bit of small character development, a little bit more, I guess, world building, and this time dealing with little kids. Some of this pretty much the students who failed the exam have to make these children behave themselves. And this entire episode with little bits of Endeavor and All Might talking are thrown in there. I guess it's more interesting to see that these kids, it's revealed these kids think they're better than modern day heroes, and some of these kids got some really weird quirks. Like this one kid who has, I would say, chain chomp powers. I don't get that one. I don't even remember that one. We also get this snarky little kid. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Bakugo at his age.
I thought he was supposed to.
I'm pretty sure more or less is what he's supposed to be. But I don't think Bakugo was that snarky when he was a kid. I don't think he tried to. Well, I can't say for sure because we never saw him as a 4-year-old. The only time we did see him was like talking about how powerful his quirk was, but I don't think he ever tried to manipulate his class. I could be wrong about that though. But this kid's on just a entirely different level. He seems to be really intelligent for a kid his age. And I'm pretty sure I think they're supposed to be 4 years old. I believe is what they're supposed to be.
4-year-olds?
Yeah, I think they're supposed to be 4-year-olds because they're elementary school students. They could be 5-year-olds. They could be 5-year-olds. I don't really know, but
I doubt that they're a 4-year-old.
Why you doubt that?
Because I have an almost 3-year-old. Elementary school is ages 5 to 10. So they could be 5, but they wouldn't all have to be 5.
I don't really know. I was trying to place them because they're really small. I mean, granted, I guess preschool children would be smaller than they are, but I don't know. They look kind of the same age as like what Deku, Bakugo, and everybody looked like when they were in preschool.
I guess so. Elementary is 5 to 10 though, so I mean they could be like 6 or something like that.
Well, I mean this is our Earth, but at the same time, it's more like things that happen differently. So I don't know. Maybe the roles changed. I don't really know. Because I mean, like I'm still confused by the fact that they can have a quirk at 4 years old. It's when it manifests, but whatever. But yeah, this group of students is very interesting. I guess what I found more interesting is the conversation that Endeavor and All Might are having in the background, and I already know because of what he said that it gave you more ammunition to hate Endeavor. So I'm gonna let you hate on him for a couple minutes, but I'm just gonna sit there and say that I like the conversation he was having with him and giving reasoning behind how he was acting. This kind of grounds him more in my eyes. This is not bias at all towards a flame hero. It's just more that I think it grounds him. It kind of makes him human. Like I guess in a way where he's talking about how he had to climb. He climbed and climbed until he couldn't climb no more, and realized that he could never be number one. And it doesn't really even dive into the fact of like why he did what he did to Todoroki, or even psychologically what he did to his wife, or whatever happened there. It just seemed like more that it's revealed that he trained his entire life. He was trying to become number one. He realized he could have. I mean, he even says he could have been nice like All Might and befriended everybody to become to I guess take his spot, but he wanted to become stronger than anybody else. And it's
that's such a autistic way of looking at it. Like
autistic,
yeah, because like autistic people like very often see interpersonal interaction is a cause and effect kind of thing, as opposed to like they have a tough time relating to the outside world, so sometimes they take a cause and effect approach to it. So being like, oh well, if I was nice to people, then I would become the number one hero, then I would do it. But I don't need to do that, or something like that. Like it was a really weird, like, if autistic sounds offensive to you, then like maybe like think of it as like an android way, like Data from Star Trek kind of way. You know what I mean? Where he just looks at it and he's like taking an objective look to people from sort of an inhuman standpoint, where he's like, well, you know, if being nice would get me to be the number one hero, then I would do it. But I don't think that was it, you know? So
I don't know if autistic is something you should call endeavor. And I'm not saying it as like insulting or insensitive thing. It's more like autistic people have a tough time um deciphering emotion and just processing information. I don't think endeavor was like that at all. I think he just had a hard time trying to figure out like how did All Might do this? What am I doing wrong? Or will I ever be able to overcome the wall that is All Might?
Well, the way he looked at that one particular piece of the problem. Oh, if being nice was the way to become the number one hero, then I would do it. You know, not because he is nice or he believes in being nice or nice. He understands the value of being nice. Just seeing being nice as a means to the end and nothing else, and just being like, oh, I would do that if that was the way to do it. You know, I considered it once, and I was like, nope. Then I wasn't nice because I didn't need to be. Or, you know. Like he doesn't see the intrinsic value of being a nice person. On top of that, he just saw it as like not a means to his end. So then he switched out.
That goes number one of like those things so you have to complain about endeavor. There's no way that I'm gonna win you over on this guy. Am I? There's no way.
He's great.
There's no way I'm gonna. There's no way I'm gonna win you over. There's no way I'm gonna stop with that. That's not funny at all. But there's no way. As soon as I was watching this, I was like, yeah, there's no way. This is just giving him more firepower to just sort of rail on him because he doesn't like him at all. And it's not the fact that he doesn't like his design. It's just like he doesn't like the way he doesn't like the kind of person he is, which is understandable. But I'm just sitting there, I'm just sitting here trying to be the devil's advocate here. Bias or not.
Like the way he was. I like the way he was interfering with his son's superhero test. That was great.
He wasn't interfering. He was showing him support.
Yeah, interfering. Nobody else got support.
What did he do to interfere? He didn't do anything. All he really did was
first
yell.
Of all, his support is not welcomed by the guy, so like it's interfering in that way because it's screwing him up.
I actually, I had to point out there's a scene, and you could take it as whatever you want, but I'm taking it as this. There's a scene when Endeavor walks in and he shouts his son's name. He doesn't say much, but he does shout his name. And a couple minutes of like shuttle processing that, he just smiles. Now you could say that maybe he was smiling because All Might was there, but I'm taking it as that he's happy that his father's taking interest in his life because he didn't take interest at all. Period. The only thing he cared about was the fact he made a person up to this point. So at least in a real way, I feel like Endeavor is coming around to being a different person. It's a slow process. It's a slow process, but it's still a process.
That day his heart grew 3 sizes and he ran down to Whoville and brought all the kids presents.
You really just like poking fun at this, don't you? It's like you just like poking fun because you know that irritates me.
No, he's great. I think he's wonderful.
I hear all the sarcasm and it's not funny. It's not funny at all. I hear every single bit of sarcasm you're throwing in there.
You're just sitting next to All Might going, you know what? I've been trying to think of what made the number one hero, and I realize that it's not being a nice person, and I know I'm not a nice person, but still, it's not being a nice person. It's not being really powerful because you're way more powerful than me. But it's being something more. It's being that thing that makes you a hero that I don't have. And I was wondering how you do it. So teach me what being the symbol of peace is he says, and All Might just looks over at him and like flames are shooting from him and he's scowling. And he's like, dude, I'm going to have a really tough time teaching you how to be the symbol of peace when you're scowling nonstop and flames are just bursting from your body. But okay.
On a more serious note, he does ask him what he like, how he built up, how he built up, the symbol of peace, because he says even he can see that he can hear it crumbling as the days
Mm-hmm.
go on because the crime rate
Mm-hmm.
is going up. Granted, he said he's doing everything he can to stop the crime rate. He's doing more than most of the heroes are doing right now, but the crime rate is still growing, still growing. Which, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make any sense because the math on that doesn't make any sense. Like, if there's 100 people and I take out 50, the crime rate shouldn't be growing; it should be shrinking.
What he's saying is the crime rate's growing even though he's doing more than ever. So he's like doing everything he can. He's doing more than he ever has, and still the crime rate's increasing.
Now I get that, but I just like, I mean, as much as you're gonna poke fun at this, I like the fact that Endeavor at least is talking to All Might, because even the scowling joke, he has always been scowling at All Might, even when All Might just said "Hey" in
Mm-hmm.
like season 1 or 2. But it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things like even this is showing a little bit more that I like the relationship is kind of almost like Deku and Bakugo in a way that he's trying to be helpful, and Endeavor is just like, I don't want your help or something like that. Or at least he comes out to him and says, I need your help.
At least like Endeavor never tried to be like Night Eye's like student. Because Night Eye would be like, make me laugh, and Endeavor would be like, I've never heard of humor in my entire life. He'd be like looking up jokes in the dictionary.
I'm just shaking my head. I'm trying to have a serious conversation about Endeavor and his conversion over here. You're just cracking jokes every single minute because it irritates me.
What's his? What's his like? What made him? What has he done like in this that's like inconsistent with my idea of him? What makes him a good guy here?
And that's it. He's he's not acting like the dick he was. I mean, yeah, you still got the whole like years of like whatever like abuse in a way that he. Great, I'm still of that whole opinion. Even the more I know about this more than you do, I'm still the opinion.
Mm-hmm.
There's been no proof. Even no, I can't say this because that's spoilery. But there's been no proof that he's done anything mentally or physically to his wife. His wife kind of snapped on her own.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea that you're against him putting her into a hospital because it was just a way for her to get her out of his way. I don't think that was the intent. I don't
But what
think.
about just him being a tool anyway?
What do you mean?
He's just a tool.
I know you don't like him, but what do you mean?
You've never heard of the term tool before?
I'm aware, but I don't know what instance you're using it here.
Well, let me make sure I'm using the word properly. But okay, so if we have a guy with a hugely overinflated ego who, in an attempt to get undue attention for himself, will act like a jackass because in his deluded state, he'll think it's going to make him look cool or make others want to be like him. The person may even insincerely apologize later on, but only in an attempt to get more attention or excuse his blatantly intentional and unrepentantly toolish behavior. Someone whose ego far exceeds his talent, intelligence, and likability. Regarding that fact, he erroneously thinks he is the man. Someone who others refer to normally as a prick, a dick, or a schmuck. Someone who acts like a dick because, well, he's compensating.
I I mean, some of that, yes. Some of the like, but it's like I can't excuse the fact that he's being a dick. But at the same time, you can make the argument with Bakugo. You can make the argument with Vegeta. You can make the argument with a bunch of characters.
I'd say Bakugo's a tool, and I'd say Vegeta used to be a tool.
I don't know. I just don't feel like he's compensating for anything. On top of that, I don't think he's trying to be likable. He's just trying to help out.
He's just
Because,
trying to help out.
because he, Listen, let's take this. Let's just take this whole concept. Okay, let's say that let's take you and Mario Monkey. Let's say that that Mario Monkey has become this like has become this like famous writer, and you're trying to get up to that point. Like you're the second best seller, but for whatever
Okay.
reason, no matter what you write, even though it's as good as his, or like maybe less, or his is better, for whatever reason, he is constantly beating you out, and you don't know what's happening because you both probably got the same editor. Well, not the same editor, but you probably got the editors you got both are the same. Everything you're doing is right, but for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason, this guy is Mario Monkey is leagues and uh. This is gonna probably make you vomit, but leagues and leagues above you, but at the same time, you're just as good. Like all of a sudden, he ends up getting shot, and then
Mm-hmm.
your books end up selling number one. At this point, up to this point, you've been acting like an a-hole to him, a prick, everything above. You're trying to improve yourself. You're trying to improve your image because people don't like you, your personality. Like,
Okay.
but your whole point of making yourself look better isn't to get people to like you. It's just more to get your public image, I guess, better. In this situation, I see Endeavor trying to figure out how he can bring down the crime rate because All Might kept it at zero for so long. But he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know how he did it because All Might never shared any of that information. Even All Might
Mm-hmm.
stood there said that he spent his entire life pushing people away. He
Mm-hmm.
um he never he never let anybody in his inner circle. Only a couple of people who even knew about his condition. But Endeavor doesn't know that because why would he know that? But Endeavor's kind of been doing the same thing, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, he's literally been trying to craft. He's bringing people into his life, and he's trying to craft the perfect child. Well, he's done that, but his life isn't any better. Now he's become number one, and he doesn't know what to do now. And he's asking the
Mm-hmm.
person who did it his entire life by himself, "How are you doing this? I realize that my attitude hasn't been the best. I haven't been friendly to you or anybody at all. And whenever people see me, they immediately ask, "What am I doing here?" But when they see you, they're all at ease. They suddenly, "What are you doing that I'm not doing? I'm not seeing it because I literally can't see what you're doing." Do you think that's an egocentric dude, like at all? Up to this point, he's realized that he's at fault. He's whatever he's doing, it ain't working. But he doesn't know where to go for it. Now he's number one, and he has no way to do what the previous number one did. And all
Mm-hmm.
he's getting from the previous
Because
number one is that you're gonna have to figure out what works for you because I can't give you what worked for me. That's not helpful at
do you
all.
think do you think Deku knew?
But
Do you think Deku knew what made All Might the symbol of peace?
no, I don't think he did. He was more of a fanboy. He even kept on saying it. He kept on calling Deku fanboy. I
Do
mean,
you
Deku
think
even
Stain knew? Do you think Stain knew what made All Might the symbol of peace?
I don't know really. The guy's a fanatic.
I think Deku knew and he got it and he tried to assimilate it. And the fact that he was assimilating it was what All Might saw in him. He's like, oh, this guy is acting exactly like the symbol of peace. Like he's got the right stuff. And I think Deku connected with that in a deep and personal way. And that's how he knew the right thing to do when the time came and All Might saw it and said, what am I doing? He's being the symbol of peace more than I am. And then he went out and stepped up his game a little bit, partially because of Deku, and then took out the bad guy. In the case of Stain looked at everybody and said, "All of these heroes are not doing this right, but this guy is doing it right, and I'm gonna leave him aside and not hurt him." And then he saw Deku and said, "Oh, you get this too. Like you're actually worth saving as well. Like I see that extra spark in you as well." And then that's why Spinner knew too as well. He said, "This is one of the ones that Stain picked, you know what I mean, to stay." So this idea of what makes somebody the symbol of peace, I think, is a pretty consistent theme running through this. And I think the characters that don't get that like Bubble Boy, or what's his name? Not Bubble Boy, Grape. Like Grape, who doesn't get that, or even someone that struggles with it, like Uraraka. Like she had a very different, if I remember correctly, like reason for becoming a superhero herself. Not necessarily an ignoble one, but a different one. Or
I mean,
Ida.
the Clarabelle
Ida,
Rocket, she
like,
wanted to
who
become a
became
hero because she wanted to make her parents' life easier. I think that's noble.
right. It's noble, but it's not. It's not the symbol of peace level noble. Or Ida, who wanted to do it because he idolized his brother or something like that. They've been exploring what makes these heroes heroes throughout the entire series. Idolization of the brother, wanting to help their parents. Like, they're not necessarily, wanting girls. Like, they're not necessarily bad. Some of them are. I mean, Grapes is bad, but like, they're not necessarily bad motivational sources, but they're not All Might
I'm gonna
selfless.
fight upon Mineta. I don't care what you say. At least that's a motivation. At least he isn't going to the school and doing it and not having a motivation at all.
Mhm.
I mean, in his
But All
case,
Might understood it. Think about the name of the power, one for all, Like, he understood right down to the name of the power, like what he was getting himself into, and so did Midoriya. So they understood fundamentally what the symbol of peace meant. And to give Bakugo credit, I think Bakugo grudgingly understands it as well. I think he understands why. I think it pisses him off, but I think he understands why Midoriya is a symbol of peace the next in line. And I think he grudgingly respects it, and it's not him. So he's not, and he also doesn't, refuses to learn from other people or follow anybody. So he's trying to find his own path. But it's interesting to have that like parallel of, Bakugo being kind of like the, what's his name?
Endeavor.
Yeah, Bakugo and Midoriya are kind of like the Endeavor and All Might here. One of them gets it, and the other one needs to find their own path as well. Or Goku and Vegeta, where Vegeta's like, I'm not going to try to get Ultra Instinct. I'm going to find my own path. Or I'm sorry. Yeah, Goku and Vegeta and Gohan, for that matter, all decide they're going to find their own path. But you know what I mean? There is that piece there that, like, I don't know, like, he doesn't seem like he sees it, and that he has to sit, like, you'd think if he had it in him, he would see it by now, but he's like so clueless about this, and it's something that, like, literally, if you're the right type of person, you could understand it as a child. I would debate that even the kid with the low level water power that Midoriya saves from the muscular guy, I would debate that even he, like, recognized what was making Midoriya the symbol of peace, and to stand out apart from the heroes that he was jaded about. He's like, all these people aren't heroes. And he saw Midoriya and he's like, hey man, you are a hero, and I'm sorry I kicked you in the balls. So, and you might think that that's a really obscure reference, but what you see there is Midoriya in front of a problem child and winning him over in the exact same way that these people have been tasked with winning over problem children.
6 is a nerd? Wait, what? Hello, Azabar. If you're even here anymore.
Did you listen to that though?
Yeah, I listened to that, but I mean, I guess what I'm really asking is like, I understand you have your qualms and everything like that with certain characters and how they are, but like, do you truly? And I mean, like, be honest, do you truly not see, I guess, Endeavor being redeemable at all? Like, at least for you in general, like you don't see him being redeemable at all in your eyes.
I think he's going to have a long character arc, but I think I think he could be redeemable. I mean, I know secretly that you've basically told me that he didn't exactly beat his wife, but I think he's missing what he needs right here. I don't know if he's going to be able to be the number one hero. I think the series straight up tells you that Midoriya is going to be the greatest hero of all time. So I don't see how Endeavor is going to
I'm not saying Endeavor is gonna become the greatest hero ever, but I just feel like as like even when he was first introduced and like they kind of showed you one side of the situation, and it's like it's kind of like in real life where like you got a relationship and then the guy is blamed for a lot of it. And I'm not saying that he isn't partially to blame to what
Mm-hmm.
happened to his wife and what happened to his children. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like he even recognizes that he is partially to blame for a lot of what happened in his family and whatnot. But at the same time, I don't think he's all to blame because and this is like we all did this when we first heard about what happened with Shoto because Shoto only really told us what happened to him and what he believed to be the cause of it all. And I think even he's coming around to the point where he's realizing that like his father may not be the best person. I guess that's what I'm coming down to. Like I think Endeavor, like in a way, is more likable than All Might because he isn't perfect. All Might, technically speaking, has been trying. He's been striving his entire life up to this point to be perfect. Only we're finding out that he isn't perfect. But at least with Endeavor, he hasn't been trying to strive to be this perfect, ideal person. He made mistakes, and he's realizing this now. Granted, a lot of people said this is probably a bad time to be realizing you were a really poor father. But at the same time, I feel like firepower bias aside, I'm pushing that aside. As a character, I feel like he in a way he's more relatable, which is kind of like why I relate. I feel. Granted, you don't like Mineta because of his tendencies, but I find that like he's relatable in a way. Like Mineta's relatable. I honestly find that I relate to Mineta more because like I kind of feel that way sometimes. It's like why is it that all the cool guys get all these women, and they always get the hot ones too? It's like, and I don't blame the women sometimes, but sometimes I freaking do. I sometimes blame the jerks. But somebody like Mineta, he will never get. I mean, this is high school life, so there's a chance that he'll get better as he gets older. But right now, he doesn't see that. He's essentially schoolboy lust rolled up in a ball, and he's been unable to express it. Gross, but still. Like if Endeavor, he ain't perfect. Like, I mean, for crying out loud, like the people who claim to be perfect or don't you don't see faults with, those people aren't relatable in the slightest because they're not. Well, to your mind and how you perceive things, they're not human. There's no way that like a human could be perfect. And I'm not sitting there saying 100% that All Might has claimed to be perfect, but at the same time, all the people that talk about him when he was around as a hero, all the people who aspired to be him all see him as this perfect, unstoppable being. As we can see, that's clearly what happened because as soon as he dropped the ball, people freaked out. Endeavor is now number one, but people don't feel safe around him. Clearly, it's a fault of All Might's that he built up this pillar to be seen as perfect. He didn't want people to see his faults, his failures. He even told on Endeavor. He even told on Deku back when Deku asked, "Was it somebody you never saved?" All Might clearly said that yeah, there are definitely times that I definitely failed to save somebody. Like he let Deku know that he wasn't perfect, and that changed his whole perception of him. But other people don't know that. People only ever see that he's always here. So in a real way, as much as I, you know, like say Endeavor this and Endeavor that, and how I like some of the things he's done and some of the things I don't like all the things he's done, but I like the things that he's shown that he's clearly capable of being a hero. He's got the ideals in him. He's got the ability to. He's
Yeah,
one
there
of the
was that one
top
time he fought a
heroes.
Nomo.
Hmm?
There was that one time he fought a Nomo.
I mean, that clearly just shows he's as strong as All Might. Like, I mean, I'm not sure how much stronger All Might was during his prime, but I mean, there
Oh, he's
goes.
not as strong as All Might, not even outside of his prime.
All I can say is that he definitely took down that Nomu much easier than All Might did. He legitimately
Um,
took that thing down a lot easier. Granted, that might have been a weaker Nomu, but that's still a Nomu nonetheless.
I don't know. He got schooled pretty hard against All for One.
He didn't even try to fight All for One. He actually literally let All Might take care of that. He didn't fight him at
Yeah,
all.
he said something about like not being able to live up to All Might had to do this.
Yeah, but he never fought All for One, so he never got schooled by him. I take school as he actually tried fighting him and got wasted. Like Endeavor did not try fighting him.
That's a good point. But he did step aside immediately and say that, like, this is out of my league.
All I'm really saying is that he took on a Nomu, and it was a lot easier for him to do it than All Might. It literally took All Might, like, according to him, he said he could have taken that thing down in 5 punches. That's nowhere to be seen.
We also see that the Nomus aren't all equal.
Yeah, but it's still a Nomu. Like it's still a monstrosity. These things are dangerous. I mean, like, even the lower tier heroes fear these things.
Right. What I'm saying is, though, basing it on how quickly one character beat a Nomu versus another is not a really good. All the Nomus seem to be unequal in power. Like there seem to be much more powerful versions of some of them.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying, based on the fact that of a Nomu, we haven't seen many characters take on Nomus. We always seen All Might. We always seen Endeavor. I don't know if you want to count the whole destroying the factory, but then again, those Nomus weren't killed because they got teleported out. So I don't even know, like, how would you count that? We only at least seen like 2 one-on-one fights with Nomus, and at the time, those were the strongest Nomus at the time. Like the one that All Might fought was the strongest at the time because there was no other Nomu around, and the one that Endeavor fought was like the most trouble. Was the one Nomu that gave a lot of trouble. Even Gran Torino had trouble trying to take that thing down.
Yeah.
And he was the one that trained All Might. But I mean, all I'm really saying is, like, in the grand scheme of things, I think Endeavor is a lot more likable than most people give him credit for. And I think people don't like him because he has issues. But I think that should be why you flock to him more, because he isn't when he was first introduced, he wasn't this Jesus character. He wasn't supposed to be likable when you first got introduced to him, because you saw everything that he did that was negative. It didn't help that, as you said before, he scowls a lot. There's only a couple of scenes in this entire episode where he isn't scowling, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, if he doesn't smile, he's never going to get a husband.
Excuse me?
Go ahead, keep going.
No, we're going to backtrack. Excuse me?
No, move along. Nothing to see here.
No, excuse me? Did you just call Endeavor gay?
No. Just because he's flaming doesn't mean he's gay.
But I like the little bit. I mean, moving on. I like the little bit of conversation that they did have. It's showing that Endeavor is willing to learn, even if he is scowling. He's showing that there's growth there. It's a slow growth, but he's growing. As he's trying to change, because clearly, he can't be the #1 hero, and people don't trust him. Because we've already seen that people always say that they don't feel safe because they don't think he's strong enough or he's as strong as All Might. Which, again, I like to say before, back going on the all the last bar, that is so true that I'm just not gonna comment on it. But was like All Might, for instance, being as I said before, when he got introduced, he was shown to be this classless warrior, a warrior who had no equal. The closest we would think, the closest to that would be Endeavor, but he isn't even that close. But like all we ever seen, we're learning all the mistakes he's made now, but those weren't mistakes made to the public. He clearly, if anything, All Might's got more of an ego complex than Endeavor does, because All Might's been keeping a lot of secrets from the public, such as like the things that he's failed, the injury, which was something that he definitely did not want people to know about. He's literally spent the first 3 seasons trying to make sure nobody knew about his injury. He only let like certain people know about it so they could protect him from, and understandably so. The reason why he didn't want people to know, because they didn't want to lose faith. They didn't want them to lose faith in the heroes or even in him. But since season 1, the villains have been doing a good job without the knowledge that All Might has been hurt. Well, I take that back. With the knowledge that All Might has been hurt, they've been doing a good job picking at that faith. Like, in my honest opinion, it probably would have done All Might better just to let people know that he was on his he was near death's bed. Like,
No, probably wasn't. He was. I think he saw like the symbol of who he was to be as important as the man himself, and he was more around to like repeatedly prove, that he was still the symbol of peace. But he's very self-sacrificial, and I think it's a much more noble thing than you do. Like, I think he's trying to like maintain that image not because it's an ego thing, but because he thinks the world needs it.
but I still think that's an ego thing. Like, I mean, I'm playing
But
devil's
it's not.
advocate for.
People really do believe in him, and
I'm not saying they don't.
as we've seen, criminals really were not being like getting involved because they didn't think they had a chance.
Hello, Ziad sub sub. What the Hello, Ziad. Thank you for joining us. We're here just talking about the recent episode of My Hero Academia. You can chime in if you want, if you have anything to say. Um, you don't have to do that, Ziad, but I'm grateful that you want to do that. But what's it what to say? Oh, well, you're talking about how but I was sitting there saying that I'm playing devil's advocate for All Might too, and just saying that at least with Endeavor, find the site in my profile's image. P.S. Talk shows and podcasts forever. This is technically a podcast and a talk show all at once because we're just spouting off nonsense into the wind. But but yeah, saying like I know like there's nobility in what All Might's doing, but at the same time, I still kind of say there's definitely some ego in there
Mm.
because in some ways he is trying to keep him. He's trying to keep the image of like he's trying to keep the image that he built up over years because he feels like that the people need it. But did he ask the people that they needed this kind of pillar? No, he kind of just forced it onto the society. Granted, it did
No,
more.
he didn't force it. If he had done it and nobody wanted it, they wouldn't have celebrated it. He provided something they needed, and they validated it by celebrating it worldwide.
But the world
He didn't make
the world
anybody
was
celebrate
surviving.
it.
No, I'm just saying the world was surviving before he did all this, and
The
it
world
would
was in a lot of
survive.
trouble before this.
It was
And
still
we're even
surviving.
talking about it in this episode that it was a lot worse than it is now, and right now it's getting worse. And
I
how
get
like
that, but I'm just
the
saying
image of
that
All Might was like a wall that held back terrible things from happening. Like, I don't know. Your argument is that like they survived, therefore it was okay that they didn't need him.
I don't think they really needed a pillar. Is what I'm sitting there saying because I'm looking at it. I'm looking at All Might sitting there saying that as a kid, he when he was talking to all Endeavor about how he built this thing up, he said he
Mm-hmm.
felt like the people needed a pillar, and I'm sitting there thinking, no, I'm not saying that they didn't want it. I mean, kind of is what I'm saying, but I'm trying to get out is the fact that I feel like a lot of it, and we'll never know if this is true or not. But I feel a lot of it has to do with an ego thing. I feel like All Might is just as egocentric as Endeavor. I feel like there's a lot of characters who have an ego thing, and for All Might, it's probably not a strong ego thing, but I still feel like a lot of what he did. He even said that when he came with the whole symbol thing, he just ran towards it. He wasn't thinking about too much. He wasn't thinking about like even with somebody like Night Eye, for instance. All Night Eye cared for him so freaking much that he didn't want to see him die. He even told him to give up the heroing thing and let somebody else take over or do something. Let the let everything progress as he tried to find a replacement for him because he already found Miorio at the time and he wanted him to meet him. But even with all that, like honestly, that made a lot of sense. Now, granted, would that have been the best outcome for a lot of things? No, but I mean, not I have the ability to see into the future. If he thought it was okay for All Might to disappear into the shadows and let everything progress, as it probably would have progressed, as All
Mm-hmm.
Might was retiring. Honestly, in my opinion, All Might should have taken that advice, and as like as I'm as I'm sitting there complaining about it, I don't really care because I don't know how we would have progressed. But I'm just sitting there saying I feel like I'm watching All Might and I'm watching it with you and picking apart small things, but I still feel like as noble as he is, I still feel like there's some ego and selfishness involved in all of it. I feel like to me the main reason why All Might did not stop the heroing thing when Night Eye said that was the fact that he needed to be a hero for himself. Because as a kid, he said that he didn't have a quirk and he really wanted to be a hero. He saw that people needed something to look up to. And I feel like maybe as a kid, that was an ego thing. He really truly believed what he was saying. I'm not saying he doesn't believe it now or believed it as he was doing it. But I feel like maybe he needed this to continue because, he was a quirkless kid at the time. And if he were to give up and, just let the villains do what they were going to do, he would have felt defeated. He would have felt like a lot of this, it was to make himself feel better because he's doing something to help versus like, because he said he pushed away Night Eye. He pushed away people that were trying to help him. He didn't want people involved in his life or whatever, or too many people, emotionally invested with him. And I'm not saying Endeavor is letting people be emotionally invested with him. He has done nothing at all for people to be emotionally invested. But I'm saying that as likable as All Might is, I still feel like there's some things to dislike about All Might. As dislikable as Endeavor is, I feel like there are things to like about Endeavor. Not a lot, but I still think the things that he's doing is showing that he wants to change. Like,
Mm.
and it's for like All Might, he isn't perfect, but at the same time, the world sees him as perfect. Even now, in his deflated form, people see All Might as this beacon of hope. When in reality, he can't do a dang thing to help him now. If anything, All Might's trying to keep himself out of the shadows because he doesn't want people to notice him. If anyway, he's trying to hide from his shame now because he's useless now. At least on the heroing side, versus like sucking it up and everything like that. Because half the time I see him complaining. Granted, this is probably his real personality. He probably isn't all happy and go lucky half all the dang time. But at the same time, it's like I'm sitting here wondering, what's the like, is there any like, did you really do all this to be selfless, or was this some part of like some egocentric thing to please your own ego, at the same time as trying to be a hero? Because like not all heroes are perfect, and some of the most imperfect heroes are sometimes the best heroes to like.
I agree. I don't think. No, I don't think. I mean, from episode one, the first moment with All Might, where he switches back in the first place and loses the bottle and everything else, like it's like the first thing they do is establish that he's not really as perfect as people think he is. And he doesn't try to hide it there either. He's like, "All right, kid, I'm a mess, blah blah blah, but I gotta get going." He's like actually at his weakest when Midoriya steps in. Like I would argue that All Might was the first person that Midoriya saved.
I mean, I'm not arguing against that. I'm just sitting there saying, I mean, even in that first episode, we can go back to that one. As you said that they were establishing All Might to be this unbreakable spirit person, but we do see that he has a breakable spirit because he's literally trying to hide the damage that he was doing and the damage that was done to him in a fight that was never recorded against All for One.
I don't think he wants to hide that for selfish reasons, though. I think he wants to hide that because his mission to be a symbol of peace is at odds with it.
I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit of both in there because I mean, honestly, if you definitely believe that what you were doing was right and that this pillar you built up was strong enough, you think you would let people know, because there's a lot about All Might that is not known, but it's also a lot that he has let people know. He's kept a lot of secrets from the world. I mean, in his ordained mission to give the people something to look forward to, and now I mean to look up to. And now that he's retired and people know about this, he's left other heroes something that they can never live up to, and the closest person that could probably live up to just can't live up to it because um a lot of what he did was in reaction to what All Might did. And like as much as like as much of what All Might Endeavor did was like something he did to himself. at the same time, you can't sit there and really sit there and hate Endeavor a lot because even what you did was even what he did wasn't something you would have done. You probably would have done something just as bad or maybe a little bit less worse to get to where you are because you saw that there was the only way you could do it because this person that was leagues and bounds ahead of you clearly you would never think. I mean, I think the fight with Deku and Bakugo kind of like when Deku was like thinking in his mind about how Bakugo felt that like Deku thought he was always better than him. He never saw Deku being nice as just him being nice. He thought Deku was pretending to be better than him, and in reality, he was never doing that. He just really was concerned. You would never if somebody was this much powerful than you, and you never really had a good conversation with them, because you can never really talk with them because they're always in and out, in and out. You can never really talk to them. You would never like as a coming up hero as number two try to talk with them and figure out what they're doing earlier on because you probably would never be able to find a way to approach them because as far as I'm aware, I don't think All Might ever stayed in one place for too long. So I think in the first two episodes, you saw him like jumping in and out of like fights and whatnot. He never stood there for too long. I mean, the latest thing what we saw was like earlier on when he was like when the interviewers caught him after he punched that slime villain. They caught him there, but I don't know how long he stood there for interviews. Granted, from the way that Eraser talks about All Might, he stands around doing interviews a lot. So I don't know. Maybe what I'm saying is invalid, but like at the same time, a lot of what it's essentially like when I'm sitting there. Yeah, you would think that Endeavor, if he had it in him, he would know what makes the symbol of peace the symbol of peace. But at the same time, and All Might has put this huge, and I mean huge gate up. How could anybody live up to All Might? How
By
could
inheriting his
anybody?
power.
Huh?
By inheriting his power.
I don't even know if Deku can live up to that. If I'm being honest, now he may be able to, but I don't
He's
know.
going to live up to that because the show's already told you straight out that this is.
But I mean, being the greatest hero doesn't mean that he lives up to being the symbol of peace. That could mean that he just like he maybe he established his own dominance. Because I mean, they were very vague. Well, Deku was very vague that he says this is the story how I become the number one hero. That doesn't mean that because Endeavor's the number one hero right now. But that doesn't mean that like somehow Deku managed to become the symbol piece that was just as powerful as All Might. I mean, what I
I'm
mean to
pretty
say
sure.
is that like his presence that doesn't mean his presence got to that point where he was able to quell quell all this because we're seeing that Deku's making more mistakes than All Might did at his
Yeah.
age.
I have a feeling he's going to become the symbol of peace, but Lemillion.
You cut out there.
I said I think he's going to become the symbol of peace, but Lemillion. So there's at least two characters that we know of.
I'm sorry, but as soon as you said Lemillion, cut out.
Oh, Lemillion could have done it too.
I guess, but I feel like All Might has put this like in. Not saying it's not possible to live up to him, but at the same time, I feel like he's done so freaking much that it almost seems impossible. Because like he's everywhere and anywhere you could possibly think. He's pretty much whenever he shows up, villains get scared. Like I don't know if he could have that kind of presence. I mean, just because one person did it doesn't mean that another person will be able to. I mean, in somebody's lifetime. I mean,
Yeah.
Deku might be able to have that kind of presence. But right now we have a hero who right now has to he's got some really big shoes to fill, and at this point nobody trusts him. I mean, probably because his own doing, but at the same time he's trying to fix it, and it's one of those things I feel like at this point when I was reading this I was starting to see that Endeavor is definitely more likable than I originally gave him credit for, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying, I'm fighting to see if maybe hopefully my trust isn't misplaced or my the character like I hope that like liking him now is gonna bite me in the butt later. I'm hoping it's not.
Yeah.
But
Do you think Endeavor could have save these kids.
What are you talking about? What?
If Endeavor had been taking this hero test that his son's taking right now.
Well, I mean, yes, he would have had to because he needed to get the professional license too. So,
But I mean,
100%.
this is a unique test. He'd been taking this test today, and he was down there with them because he hadn't gotten his license yet. Do you think he would have passed this test?
Yes, but I mean, it wouldn't have been easy. But yes, I'm certain he could have passed this test.
Really, just like he inspired his own son to become a great hero?
Not gonna let you push my buttons. Not gonna let you push my buttons.
But I'm just saying, the point is, like, he failed on his kids pretty much. Like, his kids all seem like they're not real good, big fans of him. So what makes you think that he's going to inspire anybody else?
I feel like he has the ability to inspire him because, I mean, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, you're also
You don't think
overlooking.
there's any dramatic irony or narrative reason that he's sitting watching this, put him in a different room, or like a different setting altogether, or these two weren't like walking in the park or something during the conversation? You don't think there's any irony to the fact that the most inspiring symbol of peace hero is sitting there talking to the other one about how he's having trouble becoming the symbol of peace while he watches his kid struggle to become a symbol of peace for those little kids around him?
I mean, yeah, I mean, there is some irony, but I'm just sitting here. I'm trying to be devil's advocate. You're not making it easy.
I'm sorry.
I'm sitting here. It's not your fault. I mean, like I said before, I kept on saying this, and I kept on saying I will never take it back. A lot of the problems that Endeavor is having right now, relationship wise, hero wise, was a hole that he dug himself. But at the same time, I'm not gonna sit here and say that 100% was all his fault because there are a lot of other factors. I mean, even going back to his wife, for instance. Now, you say that there was a cop out to send his wife to a mental hospital because he might have caused some of that himself. But at the same time, do you really want the man that you believe that has caused this woman some emotional pain trying to fix a problem that he caused? Because he clearly does not. He is not in touch with his emotions. Like, do you really want that, or do you want her to be in a hospital with medical professionals that are capable of helping her?
Does he visit her?
Do you want the answer to that?
Why, you know the answer, I guess.
Yes, I know the answer. I'm just saying, do you want the answer to that?
I want to see that. I want to see a little bit of narrative where he actually cares that she's there and that he's still involved in her.
Okay, that's a clear no. But what I want to say is that there is no proof otherwise, or like as far as we know at this point, that he hasn't visited his wife or attempted to be in her life. There has been no proof either. There has been no proof that he hasn't, and there's been no proof that he does.
Right.
So I'm just saying, like, you can't. I will say, yeah, as much as the narrative, because this is the problem we have with Endeavor's story. We only know one side of the story, and it's from his son's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of this happened when Shota was like 4 years old, so a lot of it he probably didn't know how to process.
Right.
Because I'll also point out that the scar on his face wasn't done to him by his father. Granted, it was probably done in extension, but it wasn't done to him by his father. It was done to him by his mother. But for whatever reason, he doesn't hold any animosity towards his mother because he sees that his father as being the bad guy. As I said before, a lot of that was mostly done because of him, but at the same time, I also have to blame All Might because a lot of this, I'm pretty sure if Endeavor hadn't been trying to start to be this freaking hero, he probably wouldn't have been a real bad person. And I'm being honest because, like, I don't think he's a bad dude. I really don't think he's that bad. There's been people far worse in this world than this game. He is not, like, Hitler's been worse than him. And we know Hitler exists in this world too, so I don't want to hear it. We got Napoleon Dynamite, we got Hitler. There have been a lot of people in this world, like, so, like, I mean, nobody, like, Endeavor is not that bad.
I mean, at least Hitler liked dogs.
Did he like dogs? I think he just euthanized them all.
He liked dogs.
What was this?
I mean, Do you really want to go like try to prove that right now?
Part of me is saying yes. The other half is saying we don't got time for this.
We don't have time for this.
I understand he's not a bad individual. I don't think he's that bad. Some of the mistakes. Oh my god, demonetized. Like I was ever monetized the last bar. I was never earning money from this. I was never earning a dime from this.
You've never even made a dime off this stuff?
No. Back when I had the ability to monetize, I never did because I wasn't getting the views to try to monetize. And I just lost a viewer.
Who, Zayat or whatever?
I don't know if Zayat was even still here. He hasn't said anything.
I'm pretty sure Zayat was a spam account.
I mean, as far as I can tell right now, it's just you and some person named Aiton.
Mm.
I've been trying to donate bits, but I can't. I don't have the ability to Elastivar. So right now, any attempt you're trying to give bits to me ain't gonna happen because I don't have the ability on my Twitch account.
I think you should donate 10 bits for every time.
Like right now, the only thing I'm missing to be able to get bits on my channel is 50 subscribers, and I only got 30, so I need 20 more.
Oh, are you trying to get me to subscribe to you?
No.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't sit there and say no, don't do it. But I'm not encouraging you to do it.
It sounds like you don't want me to, so it's okay.
Of course, he's gonna just spin this around. But yeah, like I guess so. Like I'm liking the direction they're taking Endeavor. Like I said before, I already know plenty more than you do about all this and where Endeavor's going. Also, there was a reason why I kind of brought up the whole Nomu versus All Might. I mean, Nomu versus. I was pushing the whole Nomu versus Endeavor thing. There's a reason for that. Probably spoiled it, but at the same time, like I'm not gonna say much more than that. But
you're gonna say no move about that?
Ugh. But I hate you for that. That hurt my soul. That hurt my soul. But I guess speaking of like arcs and stuff like that, in the intro, I don't know if you noticed it, but there are actually other characters they probably have been spoiling in the thing. I'm not too sure how many of them get caught. As far as I know, there are 2 in there that haven't made their presence known, and they've done a good job of not showing them.
You mean other than like earphone jack?
No, but what I mean is they're in the purple silhouettes. There are probably some shapes in there that you probably haven't seen yet. You're probably like, who the heck are those people? There are 2 people in a silhouette in the intro. Now that you said it, you're probably gonna look that out. You're gonna look for it now.
Yeah, I am.
There are at least 2 people. I don't know about the third person because I already know that he's supposed to show up in the anime, but I don't know when or where because he hasn't shown up yet.
I mean, there's so much going on. There's like little scenes where you see lots of background characters, so it's easy to kind of get used to the fact that you don't know who every single person is.
Pizza Pooh Bear. What in the world kind of icon is that? Okay, I would talk about like the ending scene, but I didn't watch that, so I don't got much to say on that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess onto the whole as we wind down onto the whole effect that All Might's had since he's been leaving. You see the little kids understand somewhat what's going on, and their parents are worried. I would say the teacher that Zord them is a really bad teacher. Like Bakugo kind of said it good is that there's a kid in there that's clearly understood the situation and is taking advantage of it, essentially become the leader of the group. And we've kind of seen him already. because like he's the only one literally out
He had a
there
lot
like by
to.
himself.
He had a lot to say.
Yeah, yeah, he's the only person that said a lot of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just noticed this too. He reminds me of that guy from 1B, the one that talks a
Yeah,
lot.
he reminded me of that, and I also wondered
Wonder
ahead
what?
of the guy that like was always trying not to fall asleep.
Oh, you wonder
He's
about
in
that
this
guy?
episode.
What do you mean when you wonder about him?
What is his name or who is he?
I don't know. I just call him announcer dude or half asleep
No,
man.
no, not that guy. The guy that looks borderline evil. Heroes Public Safety Commission, Yokamura.
You know the guy who's always half asleep?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just call him announcer dude. I don't know.
For some reason, it reminded me of him too. Yokamura.
Nah, that didn't ring a bell at all. Didn't remind me
I
one
wasn't
bit.
talking about Present Mike. That's all I'm saying.
No, I say he didn't remind me of him at all. Like that's all I'm saying. Like he didn't remind me of him at all.
Oh well, he did remind me of 1B too. But he also looked like visually, conceptually like that, and it made me wonder if there was some connection there.
I don't know. I mean, he is in high school, and that kid's in elementary school. So yeah, there's a possibility that he has a younger brother. I mean, it wouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
shocking he had a younger brother. Um, because we don't know a lot of the reasoning for a lot of the heroes in 1B. They don't really give any reasoning for why they're there. All we know is that they were trying for 1A, but they didn't make the cut. So yeah, there's that as well. Um yeah, like, those kids like apparently they don't like they see they're stronger than the current heroes, which they probably are. I don't really know. You can't say they're not. They're just little kids right now.
Right.
It's like right now they don't have we don't their powers aren't at their peak, so like there's a possibility they're stronger than them. But I guess the whole point of this
Going
exercise.
back to going back to their age, I noticed a few of them were acting sexually attracted to Cammy, so I'm guessing they're closer to 10 than 5.
I'm just gonna sit there and say, regardless of all that, when you're a chick and you're wearing a full bodysuit and your cleavage is out, there's no way
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna physically attract some guy.
It's a really good point. Early puberty could be their quirk.
Oh dear God. I'm just gonna let that go. If somebody wants to clip that, they can. Don't know why you would. Um, but yeah, I will say that I guess the small thing I didn't like about this episode was the little girls, cause like every time there was a scene with them, Cammy was always in the scene too, and they just like I know this she even makes an aside saying that they must be at that age now. Like I was like, wait, what? Like I'm
I
sitting
think they
there.
were having like a lesbian thing for her or something.
No, they hate
Part of the
her.
joke.
They don't like her. I mean, they literally one of the girls, literally after Cammy puts his nose in her boobs, she literally
Mm-hmm.
says, "Don't you dare try to bewitch Show." One of the little girls actually says that, or she says, "Seduce him." I'm just sitting there
Huh.
like, what?
It's so bad.
This took a slightly illegal turn.
It did.
Yeah, if there's no podcast this week, you know what happened. I'm in jail. Uh, but yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm just like I'm just sitting here like,
It just seemed like generic sexist Pratt humor for anime, you know? It
now I'm not
wasn't like,
saying that it wasn't that. I'm just sitting there saying I'm just quite confused. It's like these girls. I'm sitting here like you can't really blame her because she's developed now and like you haven't, and it's just like and you're mad because you think that this little boy has interest in her, which he probably does, but at the same time she has no interest in him. I mean, crying out loud. It seems like even some of the little girls were attracted to Todoroki. That got illegal. That was probably illegal sentence. I don't think I've ever said those words together.
Yeah, a little teenage crush on her. Or preteen crush, I guess.
Would they even qualify with as preteen? I didn't even think I knew what boobs were at 10 years old.
I knew. I think around 9 o'clock people start. 9 o'clock.
9
Around
o'clock.
9 years old.
It's 9 o'clock? I don't know what boobs are.
I think around 9 years old people start figuring that out. Not everybody at the same time, but I think that's probably the starting point.
So I guess the question for you is to end this off. What you gonna do when Grace is like 9 years old?
I don't know. That's a little terrifying.
Wait, terrifying for the girls or terrifying for you?
Terrifying for me. Like, I don't know. I remember, I think I hit puberty around 9 or 10 and it took me a little while to figure out what was going on, but like 9 or 10 is about when I hit puberty to start with. And I know a few other people that seemed like they were showing signs of puberty around that time. But I don't know
I
if
take
I
that
would have
back
been
because
so.
I was in 6th grade. That would have been when I was 10 years old or 11. Never mind. Yeah, I knew what boobs were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew what they were. Some of the girls wished I didn't. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not gonna get into that. But let's just say dress codes in elementary school are.
Why is it hard to delete this stream now?
It will get deleted, but it'll be on YouTube forever. Unfortunately.
This is an academic conversation about why.
Yeah, academic.
Where we try to figure out, academic conversation about why we're trying to figure out.
Delete, bail, run, TMI. I'm expecting him to say abort mission.
He will. I'm probably saying now that you said that.
Yeah, he probably will now that I said that.
Anyway, so yeah, they're sexually attracted to the heroes, which is bizarre.
Well, I said it doesn't help that her cleavage is out, and that's by choice, by the way. Like, I'm never not gonna say that to her. Like,
are you victim blaming? Are you victim blaming?
Kind of, yeah. She's not a victim either. She's not a victim either.
Acted that way because she dressed provocatively. Is that what you're trying to say?
I have strong opinions on this, and I'm not gonna get into this. I have very strong opinions about this.
Wow.
I'm not gonna say anything about it because I'm gonna probably come off very sexist when I say it. So I'm not gonna.
Attracted to her, but it's okay because she brought it upon herself to be sexually harassed and groped. I understand.
I'm not saying somebody should go up to her and grab her by her sexual organs. But what I'm sitting here saying is that some of these women, and this is in real life, some of these women will like to pull the whole
this is a good abort point for you.
Yeah, I know it's a good abort.
I would recommend strongly with some of the topics we've covered. Hitler, we
didn't cover Hitler. That was all you. I would say he's not as bad as Hitler. That's all I said. You mentioned that he likes dogs. I don't know where that came from.
I think our next podcast is going to have to be like a series of apologies just for this episode.
Apologies. That would never happen.
We'll have a whole podcast where we just go through the horrible things we covered in this podcast and apologize for them one by one.
I guess on that note, we probably should end this now because we've gotten on a tangent that's never going to get returned because it's not much to talk about in My Hero Academia right now because this episode was more of a setup for the next bit.
Yeah, and Froppy wasn't in it, so therefore it's filler.
Didn't know you speaking of Froppy is always in it because she's in the freaking trailer. In the trailer, she's always in the intro. Like she's literally always in the intro, like twice.
That doesn't count. That's not part of the episode.
Then like speaking, yes, it is because it keeps popping up in every episode. Like then like speaking should always be. I'm fighting for you to have Froppy here, man. Stop freaking pushing. Okay. Where have these emotes coming from? What the heck? Oh, Mori Koopa is this person. Okay. He's apparently Scribe, yeah, I don't watch Mora Koopa. But okay, yeah, this is probably a good abort, and I
It's a good crash and burn point.
think we've already crushed and burned. I think we're just smoldering right now.
I'm pretty sure like our future careers are over.
Your future careers, don't everybody tie this back to me. Like no one said my name, and as soon as I said that, I'm